80-year-old Navy veteran was recently scammed out of his entire life savings.
What began as a small, unexpected charge on a credit card turned, in a matter of days, into a hemorrhage of $100,000. He called for help. He called the number he found online. He allowed a stranger remote access to his computer. And he watched what he thought was a temporary deposit turn into an urgent demand. Withdraw cash, buy cryptocurrency, send receipts. By the time he realized something was wrong, $94,000 had vanished.
This money that they took was money that I was living on. It was just my main account.
Police were notified. The bank was contacted. The details are procedural, but the human cost is immediate. A lifetime of planning erased in days. This is a story of trust, technology, and a methodical kind of fraud that looks like help. We begin with how it started. John McKendry spent most mornings the same way. Coffee at the kitchen table, laptop open, bills reviewed carefully before anything was paid. The 80-year-old Navy veteran handled his own finances and had done so for years. He kept records, checked balances, and avoided unnecessary subscriptions. He wasn't unfamiliar with technology. He held a graduate degree and used email and online banking daily. Friends described him as cautious, the kind of person who double-checked numbers before clicking confirm. The savings account mattered. It was the money he lived on in retirement, set aside over decades of work and military service. He rarely made large purchases and almost never ignored small details on a statement. That is why a single unfamiliar charge stood out immediately. It was minor, but it didn't belong there.
It all started in March when McKendrick spotted an odd charge on his credit card for what he thought was Norton's security protection.
He decided to find out why. He opened his statement again and saw the charge clearly. It was small, labeled as a security software renewal he did not remember purchasing. He assumed it was either an error or a subscription he had forgotten to cancel. He searched the company name online. The first number he found looked legitimate. The website appeared official, and the representative who answered spoke calmly. The man on the line told him the charge suggested his computer may have been compromised and offered to check immediately. He agreed. The caller asked him to download a program so they could confirm whether the protection software was installed. The instructions were simple, step by step, and the screen began showing activity that looked technical and urgent. The voice told him there were hackers connected to his system. He was advised they would help fix it. The cursor moved on its own as the technician began the scan. Windows opened and closed across the screen, lines of text appearing faster than he could read them. The caller explained these were active connections, outside users inside his computer. He remembers the words clearly. They told him his banking information might already be exposed.
Oh, look what we found. We found all these hackers.
McKendrick says he was convinced that he needed their expertise.
The man on the phone said they needed to act quickly to secure the account and prevent further theft. He was reassured that the company would help protect his funds. A box appeared showing activity in his system files. He was told it confirmed hackers were present. He asked what he needed to do. The caller said they would demonstrate the fix and prove the account could be secured. A new window opened showing what looked like a bank transfer. The caller said they were placing funds into his account to isolate the hackers and track the intrusion. The numbers on the screen increased and appeared to add several $1,000s to his balance. He was told not to worry. The money would be returned after the security process was complete. Then came the instructions.
He said, well, what we're going to do is we will put money into your bank account, and that money, that will be what will trigger the hackers.
To finish the protection, he needed to withdraw the same amount in cash and send it back using a cryptocurrency machine. The caller stayed on the line while he prepared to leave the house. They assured him this was standard and necessary to stop the breach. He followed the directions that day and the next day. Each time, the screen showed another deposit. Each time, he withdrew cash, scanned the receipt, and sent confirmation back. He believed he was protecting his account. After several days, he checked his bank account directly rather than watching the numbers on the shared screen. The balance was lower than expected, much lower. He told the caller. The technician explained quickly, saying the hackers were still interfering with the display and that the security process was still underway. He was told the funds he had sent were being tracked and would be restored once the threat was removed. But the next morning, the balance dropped again. He tried calling back through the same number. The voice answered and repeated the instructions, reassuring him everything was under control. Another deposit appeared on the screen. Another withdrawal was requested. Then the calls stopped returning as quickly. He contacted his bank and asked them to review the transactions. The deposits never existed. The bank representative walked through the transactions one by one. Each withdrawal had been authorized from his account, and each transfer had moved to a cryptocurrency address that could not be reversed. There were no incoming deposits. The numbers he had watched on his computer screen were not connected to the bank at all. The display had been manipulated while the callers controlled his device. What he believed were test transfers were simply his own funds leaving the account in stages. He calculated the total with them on the phone, nearly $94,000 gone in less than a week. He said he felt the moment it became clear. The instructions stopped making sense. The calls stopped connecting. The software they installed remained open, but the people behind it disappeared. He contacted local police immediately. An officer arrived that afternoon and asked him to walk through everything from the beginning. Not the withdrawals first, but the first message, the first voice, the first moment he allowed someone to see his screen. They examined the computer together. The remote access program was still running in the background. Hidden windows opened as the investigator clicked through menus the caller had navigated days earlier. A connection log showed repeated sessions from overseas servers, each one lasting hours. Security footage from a nearby cryptocurrency machine confirmed the withdrawals. Same timestamps, same receipts he had carefully photographed as proof he was fixing the problem. Recovery, the officer explained, was unlikely. Digital wallets moved funds instantly and without reversal. What mattered now was documenting every step so the pattern could be recognized again. He realized the calls had followed a script, and he had followed it perfectly. Weeks later, the software was removed and the passwords changed, but the habits lingered. He still hesitated before answering unknown calls, still paused when a screen requested permission he didn't fully understand. The officer had explained that most victims were not careless. They were cooperative. The scam worked because it asked for reasonable actions in an unreasonable order, each step small enough to feel temporary. Records showed the same pattern across hundreds of reports. Urgency first, authority second, isolation third, payment last. He kept the printed report in a drawer beside his desk, not as a reminder of the money, but of the sequence. If the first step had been questioned, none of the others could follow. He said the strangest part was how normal it all sounded while it was happening, and how obvious it sounded afterward.
But he says even if he doesn't get his money back, he hopes his story will stop someone else from making the same mistakes.